You know, Jesus talked about this intense time coming, a time that would test the entire world. But right alongside that pretty stark warning, he gave this incredible promise to his followers. So, what exactly did he promise them? Let's dig in and find out.
Okay, so the whole debate really comes down to this one simple but massive question. Did Jesus promise to protect his followers while they were in this global trial, or did he promise to keep them from it altogether? I mean, that's a huge difference, right? And the answer, well, it changes pretty much everything.
So, here's the mystery we're trying to solve. Jesus promises his followers will be kept from this worldwide hour of trial. But what does kept from actually mean? Like, what did those words mean to the people who first heard them? We're going to have to investigate.
All right, our first major clue is hiding in plain sight, right in the book of Revelation. And what's so cool about this is that the language isn't wishy-washy at all. It's super precise. And that precision, that's the key to the whole thing. Okay, here it is. Now, notice a couple of things here. First, it's not just about general hardship. No, it's about the hour of trial, a specific, defined period of time. And check out who it's for: to test those who dwell on the earth. Now, that phrase is a big deal in Revelation. It almost always points to people who are in rebellion against God. So this isn't random suffering. It sounds a lot like a period of divine judgment.
And this is where it gets really interesting. If you look at the original Greek, the phrase for keep from is terio ek. Now, don't worry about the Greek words. What matters is what it means. And scholars point out this isn't just about being protected inside a dangerous situation. Think of it this way. It's not like being handed a hard hat in a building that's about to collapse. It's more like being escorted out of the building before it even starts to shake. It really implies a complete removal from the danger zone. It's a promise of evacuation, not just protection.
So let's be super clear. The takeaway here is that we're not talking about the regular, tough stuff that Christians have gone through for centuries. The language here is pointing to something totally different, a one-of-a-kind, future, global period of judgment, a time aimed squarely at the inhabitants of the earth.
Okay, so that's a pretty powerful verse from Revelation. But you might be thinking, is that it? Is it just one verse? Well, that's a great question. Is this an outlier, or is there a pattern here? Let's jump over to the Gospels and see what else Jesus had to say.
So check this out from Luke's Gospel. When Jesus is talking about the end times, he gives this really specific instruction. He says to pray for strength to what? To escape all these things. Not just get through them, not just survive them. The word is escape. And not just escape, but to stand before the Son of Man. I mean, that language is pretty hard to miss, right?
And then there's that incredible, comforting promise over in the Gospel of John. You probably know it. Jesus says he's going to his Father's house to prepare a place for us, and that he's going to come back and take us to be with him, so that where he is, we can be too.
When you look at the words he uses, it really drives the point home. This isn't what you'd call battlefield language, right? He's not saying, I'll protect you on site. It's reception language. It's about being welcomed home. I will take you to myself, to my Father's house. It sounds way more like being picked up for a party than being hunkered down for a siege. And that fits perfectly with this whole idea of being removed before the trial begins.
Okay, but this brings up a really logical question, doesn't it? If the church, all believers, are absent from earth during this hour of trial, then what's the point of it? Why does it even happen? Well, believe it or not, the Old Testament prophets actually give us a surprisingly specific answer. Way back in the book of Jeremiah, the prophet talks about this future time of distress, a time so bad he says there's none like it, and he gives it a very specific name, the time of Jacob's trouble. And as you might know, Jacob is another name for Israel. So right away, that tells us the primary focus of this period.
So, if you follow this line of thinking, the tribulation isn't just random chaos. It has a very specific purpose, and that purpose is centered on the nation of Israel. It's seen as this intense time of judgment and refinement. The goal is to purify the nation and bring a believing remnant back to faith in their Messiah. And if that's the main purpose, it gives a really clear theological reason for why the church wouldn't need to be there for it.
Okay, so when you start laying all these pieces out next to each other, you can't help but see a really consistent picture forming. But you know how it is with Bible prophecy? Just when you think you've solved one puzzle, it kind of reveals a whole new one right behind it. So let's just recap the pattern we're seeing. First, from Revelation, we have a promise to be kept out of the hour. Then from Luke, we have a command to pray to escape it. And from John, we have a plan to be received into heaven. I mean, from three different places, the message seems to be the same: deliverance before judgment. And here is that new puzzle I was talking about.
Because if being taken, like in John 14, means rescue, then what on earth do we do with those other famous passages? You know the ones. One will be taken and one left behind. Because if you really look at the context of those verses, it seems to be saying something very, very different.
And this is the big, provocative idea we have to end with for today. Just think about this. What if, in prophecy, not every taking is a good thing? What if sometimes being taken actually means being taken away for judgment?
And that is the exact question we're going to tackle in the very next explainer. We're going to dive headfirst into those one taken, one left passages and unpack a really surprising interpretation that might just flip what you thought you knew about that phrase. You're not going to want to miss it. See you then.